piece called this affordability bullcrap. Houses were never affordable. I realize now why losers like Occasional Cortex and the Islamist communist Mamdani are attracting the attention of this loser generation. I've never seen anything like it. Whining, losing brats who want to live in a house that they didn't earn, that they say is unaffordable because of evil people like Zionists, boomers, bankers, everyone but themselves. They have no skills, nothing to offer society except complaints. And so I'm going to lay something out for you. If you watch, I don't care if you unsubscribe. What do I care what you do with yourself? You're nothing anyway. You're a nobody. Go unsubscribe. All of you unsubscribe. I don't care. I'm here to tell you the truth. And if you can't take it, go to hell. Affordability, bullcrap. Houses were never affordable. And I gave you an example. In 1974, my wife and I, having worked all of our lives, scraped together $9,000 to buy a $45,000 house on a rotten cold hillside in Northern California. Say, well, but look how expensive things are today. Well, I did some math for you, something that you lazy people in this generation haven't done. A $45,000 house in 1974 is about a $295,000 house now. Oh, I can't live in a $200,000 or $300,000 house. I want to live in Berkeley. I want to live in Nassau County or New York City. I want to live in San Francisco. You do? Well, too goddamn bad. You can't afford it, you schmuck. You don't have the money for it. So you got to move to cities where you can find a $300,000 house, but you don't want to live there. Would you move to the South, Cleveland, Ohio, Detroit, Michigan, Midwest, South, Louisville, Kentucky, Kansas City, Missouri, Birmingham, Alabama? Of course not, because you're a bum. You're a complaining bum, and you want somebody to give you something for nothing. If you can't afford a $300,000 house now because it's too cheap for you, it's below you, it's not in a latte neighborhood, don't complain and call it a result of boomers ripping you off or Jewish bankers. You're just a guy who has nothing to offer society, so you're going to rent the rest of your life until you say, wait a minute, maybe I can come up with something people need. Maybe I can invent something, write something. Maybe I can do something that people need. Or you can move to Cleveland, Detroit, Louisville, Kansas City, St. Louis, Indianapolis. They have median home prices on average values under the $300,000 mark. Columbus, Ohio, not good enough for you? It doesn't have lattes. It just has coffee. Black coffee is all it has. Too many rednecks, too many blacks for you? Well, it's too goddamn bad. Oklahoma has affordable cities like Tulsa. Some of the cheapest states to buy a house include Iowa, Indiana, North Dakota, Delaware, seeing higher median prices. You can even live in California, but not in San Francisco, not in Marin County, not in Berkeley. You can live in lower cost places like a place called Apatria, Corcoran, Porterville, but you wouldn't live there because they don't have lattes. They only have coffee, black coffee. And so what I'm saying to you is, if you look at what the people today are complaining about, and they're leaping on the socialist bandwagon, that someone's ripping them off because they can't buy a house. They have some mythology that it was cheaper and easier to do in my time. It wasn't. I'm an immigrant son. I sold comic books in the streets of the Bronx outside my apartment from age 5. I marked them down from 10 cents to 5 cents. My father taught me the value of $1. Maybe you never had a father. Maybe you're raised by Johnny has 2 mommies. I don't know who you're raised by. My father was a poor immigrant. He taught me, save your money. I saved my money. I put it in a little bank account. And then I worked and I saved my money. And then I saw that I had to get a house to start with, or I would never get a house. Say, well, okay, well, that was then. House was only $45,000. You only needed $9,000 down. I'll do the math for you again. You can buy the equivalent of the house I bought for $300,000. Did you hear what I just said? And you have to put down how much? 20% of $300,000 is how much? You do it in your head without asking your mommy to do it for you in the kitchen? What's 20% of $300,000? Figure it out fast. I'm not drinking, you asshole. Go away. I don't really care. I'm looking at you now. I'll take all your insults you want because you're losers. Don't you understand what a loser is? A loser always wants to blame someone for their being on the bottom of society. And they always think that if someone else was on top, like a communist, they'd be on top. Well, let me tell you something that my uncle taught me when I was young. He said, no matter who is on top, There's going to be people on the bottom, and it's usually people who are complaining. My wife worked. I worked. We worked 2 jobs, sometimes 3. We worked on weekends. I don't understand where you think the money is supposed to come from. The government is going to buy you a house? And then you say, oh, I can't afford childcare. Well, most of you have no children. You don't have the balls to be a man and get married and have a child. That's why there's a birth rate that's near 0 in America. Most of you sit on the computer all day long and put out hate all day long and complain, and you think you're working. All you're doing is mentally masturbating online. That's all you're doing. Mentally masturbating. If you took a job, instead of mentally masturbating on the computer, you could make a little money and put it into a bank account. I'm going to tell you a little more truth, but you don't want to hear it. Who said that the people who lived in Queens and Nassau County in the 50s and 60s didn't want to live in Manhattan? They did. Many of them would have loved to have a brick-lined studio in Greenwich Village, but they couldn't afford it. So they had to buy or rent a little house out in Levittown. Why? Why was the Long Island Railroad built? So the people who wanted to live in Manhattan but couldn't afford it could go to a cheap house in Levittown or even further out on the island. That's how it happened. That's how it worked. Everybody wanted to live in Manhattan and be Humphrey Bogart and Lauren Bacall clinking champagne glasses at night, but they couldn't afford it. So they got a cheap house if they could find it out in Levittown, if they were smart enough to even buy it. They didn't buy lattes. They made coffee at home and took it to work in a thermos. Have you young idiots ever heard of a thermos bottle? You know what it was? It's a thermos bottle. It keeps things hot and cold. So you could take the coffee to work with you and not spend $5 on a latte. Don't understand. You don't understand anything. You people just don't understand anything. You're the most spoiled generation in history. You're useless. You're actually useless. No one ever taught you $1 what it's worth and how to get it. So, my friends, I'm going to do the math and then say goodbye. I'm so tired of listening to this garbage. Houses were far more affordable then. Yeah, they were. I paid $45,000. I'll do the math. Can you follow it again? 1974, a $45,000 house is about $295,000 to $300,000 today. But it's in a neighborhood you wouldn't live in. It's not good enough for you because there's people of color in those neighborhoods. You don't want to live there. You want to live in a beautiful mansion in Pacific Heights. You want a mansion in Manhattan, don't you? Well, not a mansion. Just a 2-bedroom condo would be good enough for you, right? You can find houses for under $300,000 if you go to the Midwest, parts of the South, Cleveland, Ohio, Detroit, Michigan, Louisville, Kentucky, Kansas City, Missouri, Birmingham, Alabama. Oh, move to Iowa, Indiana, Oklahoma. People live there. You can move to places in California. It's not Berkeley or San Francisco. You can go to Corcoran if you want to live there. You don't want to live there. It's not good enough for you because people like liable to stare at you as you walk around with a Mamdani bumper stick and liable to punch your nose in. So, it just shows you that people have no idea what the word affordability is. It's a code word for lazy, whining socialists is what it is. And then you have the demagogues like Occasional Cortex. You know the one who Cortex is? They call her AOC. Cortex, half Cortex, Occasional Cortex, grew up in a middle-class community in Westchester County and makes believe she's a hood rat down with the Puerto Ricans in the Bronx. I grew up in the Bronx. She didn't. And I knew I didn't want to live in the Bronx. And I spent every waking minute thinking, how the hell can I get out of the Bronx? How can I work my way up in society? What can I do that people will pay for? What kind of books can I write that people might buy so I can save some money? Maybe you're an inventor. Maybe you can invent something. Put your mind to work instead of complaining all the time and blaming someone. Boomers did it to you. Zionists did it to you. Or the bankers did it to me. Do something useful. Create a product or a service that society needs. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? Did you hear what I just said to you? Create a product or a service that society needs. Don't do your nails for $400. How much does your internet cost you a month? How many hundreds a month are you spending on internet? How much are you spending on things you don't really need? Do you have a car? Do you need a car? Oh, you don't have a car? Where do you spend your money? How do you spend your money? Listen to me carefully. This is the greatest society in the history of the world. And if you have the ability to push yourself and use your imagination and think about what you can create that other people need or may need or want, Maybe then you could buy yourself a little house somewhere in a city and start and work your way up out of that city. Maybe you don't want to be in Iowa. Maybe you don't want to be in Iowa because, I don't know, it's not cool enough for you. It's just people, just white people walking around in Iowa, right? It's not cool like the West Village or Berkeley, right? Well, so move to Iowa, start with a little house. If you're not married, most of you of your generation aren't married because if you're a man, you're afraid of women or you're afraid to commit to being a husband. You don't even know what the word means. God forbid you would have a child. I pity the child. Most of you guys are online all day long. It's mental masturbation. That's all you do. So all you do is sitting all day long, put people down, and you think you're working. And then you wonder why you're living in a hovel in your grandmother's basement. It's because you're spending all your time mentally masturbating online on social media, and you think you're doing something. You're doing nothing. Take a job at night instead of sitting and listening to me and typing hatred. Go take a job somewhere. Go deliver something somewhere. Go work for Amazon. They wouldn't even hire you probably. You'd probably cry after one night that the weather was too cold. Someone has to talk to these people of this lazy, whining socialist generation who thinks that the government owes them a living. You know, a woman once said to a man who was, there's a story I told years ago. A guy in his 30s, he was running up against a stone wall, and whatever he did in society, he couldn't get ahead. He wanted more than he had. Couldn't get anywhere. So he met an older woman, and they talked. And she said, "What's the matter?" And she says, "I don't know. I'm not getting anywhere in society." So she said, society owes you a living, but you have to find how to get it. You have to find out how to get that living. It doesn't come to you magically from the sky, from the socialist sky, like mama's breast put into your mouth like a baby bottle. No one's going to buy you a house just because you're complaining and calling people like me who've worked since I'm 5 a boomer. You know what a boomer means? Somebody who's worked since he's 5 years old to achieve a lot in this society and create a lot that people wanted and never stop and never give up no matter what happened, no matter who stood in my way. I went around them. I went through them. I never let anybody stand in my way. I killed myself to get a doctorate. No one would hire me because I was a white male. I could have given up. I could have rolled over, but I kept pushing and pushing and pushing. And then I found a living because I prayed to God. And I said, God, give me a living. I didn't say, give me the lottery. I didn't say, give me a handout. I said, God, give me a living. And within a short period of time, because I bought a list of radio stations in America, I bought the list from someone, program directors and addresses around the country. I mailed out a demo tape that I made on my own to 300 stations, and 5 stations said, you're pretty good. Did you hear what I just said to you? I did it because I had to do it. Do you understand when the going gets hard, the hard get going? It's been said 1,000 times. God forbid we ever get into a war with a country. We have no one left to fight in this military outside of the people who are in the military. Look at these whining socialist brats. All they want to do is get their nails done. They want to go to the gym. They want to do Pilates. They want to exercise all day long. It's all they want to do. Go work, for God's sakes. You wouldn't need so much exercise if you worked. You took a job, you wouldn't need so much exercise. That's all I want to say. And remember the math I taught you tonight. You say, oh, I could afford it because it was only $45,000. Do the math. Go online. $45,000 is $300,000. So where can you buy a $300,000 house today? Not in San Francisco, New York, or Berkeley. I just said to you, go where you don't want to be. Go to Birmingham, Alabama. Oh, you don't want to be there because they don't have lattes? And you have to take the nose rings out of your nose to avoid getting beaten up or thrown into a well? No, I didn't help my son start his company. He blew leaves as a young man. I taught him the value of $1. He started with nothing. He mortgaged the first condominium he had bought through very hard work for other companies. I taught him to work and make his own way in the world. And he did. And he saved every penny. And he mortgaged his condominium to create his drink. And he took a chance on it. He invested every penny that he had in that drink. And it could have failed. 100 different times it could have failed. But it didn't, because he wouldn't give up. I'm trying to teach you something that you guys who never had a father who pushed you should have taught you. If you think socialism is going to save you, just look at Cuba and you'll see where you're going to wind up. There's no medicine there. There's hardly any food there. It's a dismal, horrible place. People can't even paint their own houses because there's no money for the paint. They don't fix anything up. Learn to work hard, and then you'll have some self-respect, and you won't go around hating everybody who's more successful than you. That's all I'm saying to you. Have a nice night. Affordability, bullcrap. Houses were never affordable. And everyone wanted a little brick apartment in the West Village in the 1960s or 50s. Everyone wanted to be a poet and walk around with a cigarette or some dope in the street, be cool outside a bar at night. Okay. But they couldn't afford it. So they had to build a Long Island Railroad to bring them out to Long Island to a crappy house somewhere. Get a friend together. Get 2 friends together, you losers, and buy a house together somewhere in Iowa. Get 3 of you skinny little white losers. Go buy a house in Iowa. Put your money together, you losers, and take a job in a meat factory, a meat plant. And then save the money, buy the house. You'll see the house will go up in value. Then you buy a better house. That's how America works, you schmucks, you. No one ever taught you that. Occasional Cortex lies to you. Mamdani lies to you. We're going to give you free buses, free houses. We're going to make everything affordable. We're going to have free clothing, free food. Bullshit. You'll wind up with nothing. This is the greatest society you've ever seen on the planet, and you have unlimited opportunity. If only you'd stop wasting time online hating the boomers like me. Now go to hell if you don't like it. Have a nice night. Don't have a nice night. Go and think about why you're a loser and how you're always going to be on the bottom with that attitude. Okay? Did I give you the Dutch uncle treatment? You'll get it again from me. Have a nice